All right, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be discussing the second book in the Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, The Great Hunt. I am doing this as a buddy read with Austin at Outer World Media. And if you want to see what he has to say, I know the review for the first book is up right now for The Eye of the World. He has not finished The Great Hunt. He has a newborn baby at home, so it's going to take him a little bit longer to get through this. But you'll want to go over and check out what he has to say. So check down below. He's linked in the comments section. I'm going to get right into talking about this. I've got a lot of notes. I'll give my feelings on the book up front. It was all right. It was good. It wasn't great. So far, this series isn't like really blowing me out of the water or anything. I will say in comparison to The Eye of the World, I enjoyed The Eye of the World more than this book, by ever so slight a margin, just slightly more. But yeah, it is a good book. It's just not. I think a lot of my problems were with the first half of the book. To be honest with you, I found the first half of the book pretty slow, and it did, like, the book got better for me in the second half. The last 10 chapters, when it hit like chapter 40 to 50, like, so much stuff happened so fast that I was just kind of like confused. I think that's probably one of my problems with the ending. I felt like the ending was rushed, and some things happened that were just a little bit too convenient. But yeah, I guess I'm going to go into some spoilers on this. So if you have not finished reading the book, I would probably recommend, if you don't want spoilers, to like turn off here. I am going to be continuing the series in June with The Dragon Reborn. Now, the people that are reading this with me, I'm not holding your feet to the fire. If you're not enjoying the series, like, you don't have to read it just because I am. I'm reading it for personal reasons, and by no means do I want anybody to read something that is ruining their joy of reading. Okay, like, I read the Dark Tower series by Stephen King and basically hate read that series after the first book and finished it. So I'm not hating this series. Like, in comparison, like Wheel of Time compared to the Dark Tower, I'm enjoying this much more. But so far, it hasn't really knocked my socks off. So the main premise of this book is that they're trying to get a horn, the Horn of Valere, which appeared in The Eye of the World, and then the dagger that Mat got from Shadar Logoth in the first book, that is a corrupting influence on him and slowly killing him. They have to get the dagger to save him. And so at the beginning of the book, Padan Fain, which is one of the Dark Friends, is in a dungeon locked up. He manages to escape, and he steals the horn and the dagger. Well, the horn is like called the Horn of Heroes as well as the Horn of Valere, and if a person blows it, these heroes from the Age of Legends, which I'm not exactly sure when that's supposed to be, they will return, and they are bound to whoever blows the horn. Okay, so they got to keep the bad guys from blowing the horn, and conveniently it's locked in a box that Padan Fain doesn't know how to open, so he can't open it and blow it. But yeah, there's some plot armor in there. Mat, Perrin, Lolael, the Ogier, and Rand al'Thor, they go after the horn. Okay, they go to try to recover it. They go after Padan Fain. The women, which are Min, Egwene, Elaine, and Nynaeve, they end up going to Tar Valon, to the White Tower, to enter into apprentice school to become Aes Sedai, or potential Aes Sedai. Well, I don't think Min is included in there. She's just kind of along for the ride. So they, just like the first book, kind of a formula almost, like the party splits up. Moiraine and Lan do next to nothing in this book. And then one of my other favorite characters, which was Perrin, does next to nothing in this book. He has a slight moment where he helps Track because the sniffer named Hurin gets separated when not Matt, it's who goes through the portal stone. We have the introduction of portal stones in this, which take you into the multiverse, I guess. So we're introducing the multiverse concept into this series, which I'm not really a fan of. And I'll give you a couple of reasons why. But yeah, let me just diverge into talking about that. I'm going to get into talking about Stephen King, which I didn't think I'd be talking about him. But he had a interview with Martin, the guy that wrote the Song of Ice and Fire, the Game of Thrones. And at the beginning of the dialogue between them, really close to the beginning of it, Stephen King mentioned he tried reading Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time and he didn't like it. And I am going to point out a lot of similarities between The Dark Tower, having read it, and what I picked up here. And there's a lot of similarities to other works as well. So the portal stones, when they got brought up, I was reminded of two things. Paul's prescient visions in Dune, where Paul Atreides can see the future timelines, and he gets caught in what's called the prescience trap. So this portal stone basically lets you see other timelines of things that potentially could be. So that way, it's kind of like Paul's prescient visions, but they're also like portals to other worlds in a way, which is very much in line with Stephen King's Dark Tower series. And so there's a lot of other similarities to Stephen King's Dark Tower. I'll get into that. The whole idea of destiny, like the wheel wills as the wheel weaves, okay? That's kind of, it's kind of like, it is what it is. That's kind of the saying there. It's Ka. In the Dark Tower series, it's referred to as Ka, which is destiny or fate. Stephen King has his character Roland Duchesne, who is the protagonist, the gunslinger, address people as Sai. Okay, so instead of using sir or ma'am, it's basically a term that's substituted in its place. I didn't like it. I thought it was kind of silly, but that's part of his mythical world building. Here, the one power is referred to as Saidar for the female aspect and Saidin for the male aspect. So Sai is there. Now we're going to get into like some really striking parallels. The Dark Tower series by Stephen King, the whole multiverse, okay, chasing the Man in Black. The Man in Black in that universe is essentially in it's the trope, okay, the trope of the supervillain bad guy, the Dark Lord. We have in the Wheel of Time, it is Baalzamon, okay? But to go even deeper, this horn that they're chasing in the Great Hunt, because this is a giant hunt for the horn and the dagger, essentially, is the horn, as I said, of Valer, the Horn of Heroes. But one of the people that are bound to the horn is Arthur Pendrag Tanriel, Arthur Hawking. And he's basically the Wheel of Time's version of King Arthur. Okay, if you look at it. Well, the thing is that in the Dark Tower, there's a horn called the Horn of Eld. And the horn is introduced not by name, but it appears in The Gunslinger, which was published in 1982. And then it appears again in The Wastelands, not by name, but it is mentioned. The horn is actually named by name in Wizard and Glass as the Horn of Eld. It's connected to Arthur Eld, which is Stephen King's version of King Arthur. Arthur Eld is the son of Uther Pendragon. So as you can see, in both the Dark Tower and the Wheel of Time, we have a mythical horn that is attached to King Arthur. All right? We have a multiverse in both series. So I'm beginning to think like maybe this is the reason why Stephen King hates the Wheel of Time, is because there's so many parallels to the Dark Tower series. However, I will say that I do think that Robert Jordan is doing a better job with his world building than Stephen King. Stephen King's Dark Tower was a mess. You could tell he was just making it up as he went and didn't have a plan, and it ended up having just disastrous effects in my opinion, on that series. I think that series is a train wreck. Nothing makes sense. So in comparison, like Robert Jordan has really thought out his magic system, the Sidar and Sidene, like it makes sense. Okay, there are aspects of this book that I didn't like. I was not a fan of the conclusion of this novel. The final 10 chapters, like they were fast paced, a lot of things happen. You blow the horn, it summons the heroes. Full spoilers here. This is your final warning. Again, it's your final warning to turn off the video. 3, 2, 1. Mat is the one that blows the horn. All right. So it wasn't Rand. So I wasn't expecting that. Overall, the series it's good. It's not great. I'm going to continue. I'm going to read the Dragon Reborn in June. I'm hoping that things improve here and that we kind of break free of the formula that seems to be where we have a quest, we go on an adventure, the party splits up, crazy things happen, everybody gets back together, and we fight the Dark Lord again and beat him again. Like this, if they do this again in the Dragon Reborn, I'm kind of going to be disappointed. So, but overall, you know, there's nothing egregious about the series that's really turning me off. I will say, pleasant surprise, Tom Maryland is alive, which I suspected he was, but he does nothing, which was disappointing. I mean, they find him at the midway point of the book, and I got excited, and then he's just like, he sits around and broods because his girlfriend gets murdered, and who knows if he's going to show up again. He probably will because he's not dead, but Moraine and Lan do next to nothing. That's some of my gripes on Lan. He's basically just Aragorn from the Lord of the Rings repackaged. Rand al'Thor is pretty bland as a main character, in my opinion. He is. It's pretty much confirmed that he's an Aiel. Okay, one of the people that live in the Waste, which are just a play on the Fremen from Frank Herbert's Dune. So the thing is this book is reminding me of a lot of other things, and it's like you're almost going, oh yeah, Dune's pretty good. It almost makes you want to read Dune again. Or, you know, oh yeah, Lord of the Rings is really good. You want to read Lord of the Rings again. So it's kind of, I think Robert Jordan is still trying to find his own footing. He's kind of breaking away from Lord of the Rings now and the Tolkien influence, but it's still there. It's just not quite as heavy. And we'll see where it goes. I don't know. I will say that my most improved character, last time I hated Nynaeve, and I actually like her in this. The stuff with the women was pretty boring for the most part. All the stuff at the Aes Sedai school. But it wasn't like terrible. Because the Nynaeve stuff, her development as a character, I really like her. She's kind of coming into her own. She's not useless. She's not just whining all the time. She's actually resourceful and is important. Probably on the other end, like I think Egwene's pretty useless. Moraine, like I said, Moraine and Lan do nothing here. Perrin, which was one of my favorite characters, does next to nothing in this book. I think the book is suffering from character bloat. We're getting too many characters, and we're not focusing on anybody. So I'm kind of. This was one of my big problems with the Civil War series that what's his name, Ralph Peters did, was that we didn't stay with any particular character long enough to care. And that's kind of how I'm feeling here, is like we're spending too much time with too many different people, and it's not focusing on the people that I find interesting. Like I want to know more about Perrin. I want to know more about Lolil, the Ogier, Tom Maryland. Okay, I mean, it's just maybe you should kill some people off. I'm hoping somebody dies. You know, like Star Trek. We need some red shirts to die here. Okay, like some of these extraneous characters. Like Min is pretty much, what is Min's purpose? Like I could just do without Min. She's just kind of like excess baggage. I don't know. All right. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap things up. Let me know what you think. Have you read this? I hope you have, because I spoiled it for you if you hadn't. But does it get better, gang? I don't know. It's for me, it's alright. It ain't bad. It's just not blowing my socks off. And that's one thing I want to wrap up here. You guys that have signed up for the buddy read, like, you're under no obligation to continue. By all means, if you're not enjoying it, feel free to drop off. I'm reading this for personal reasons. So I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. And in June, I'll have a discussion about The Dragon Reborn. Peace!